When we talk about self-respect, we're diving into the core of who we are as individuals. It's not just about feeling good in our own skin. It's about recognizing our worth and refusing to settle for less than we deserve. Neglecting self-respect is like wearing a sign that says, "I am not important," and unfortunately, people often take that message at face value. Consider this when you walk into a room with confidence, shoulders back and head held high. You exude an energy that commands attention and respect. On the other hand, when you enter a space unsure of yourself, perhaps avoiding eye contact or speaking softly, you inadvertently invite others to treat you with the same lack of regard you have for yourself. The way we perceive ourselves sets the stage for how others will perceive us. Self-respect begins with recognizing your values and standing firm in them. It means knowing what you stand for, what you believe in, and what your limits are. If you don't have a clear sense of your own worth, how can you expect others to value you? This is where the notion of self-advocacy comes into play. It's essential to articulate your needs and desires clearly without fear or hesitation. When you voice your opinions and assert your rights, you signal to others that you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Moreover, neglecting self-respect often leads to a pattern of people-pleasing behavior. We may find ourselves bending over backward to make others happy, often at the expense of our own happiness and well-being. This can create a toxic cycle where we prioritize others' needs above our own, reinforcing the idea that our own feelings and opinions don't matter. The irony is that this kind of behavior usually backfires. Instead of garnering respect, we often find ourselves feeling depleted and resentful, and others may see us as weak or insecure. In addition, self-respect involves setting healthy boundaries. If you allow others to walk all over you, whether it's at work, in friendships, or romantic relationships, you're not just neglecting your self-respect, you're also enabling a culture of disrespect around you. Boundaries are a vital part of any relationship. They help to define what is acceptable and what isn't, protecting your mental and emotional well-being. When you fail to establish boundaries, you may inadvertently encourage people to treat you as though your time and energy are limitless. This only leads to further disrespect. Let's also discuss the internal dialogue we have with ourselves. The way we speak to ourselves can be incredibly damaging. Negative self-talk and harsh self-criticism erode our self-esteem and consequently our self-respect. If you're constantly berating yourself or comparing yourself unfavorably to others, it becomes nearly impossible to hold your head high and demand the respect you deserve. Replacing negative thoughts with affirmations and cultivating a practice of self-compassion can significantly shift how you view yourself. Finally, neglecting self-respect can manifest in the relationships we choose to maintain. If you're surrounded by people who consistently belittle you, ignore your needs, or take advantage of your kindness, that's a reflection of how you see yourself. When you recognize your worth, you begin to attract relationships that mirror that value. Surrounding yourself with individuals who uplift you and respect your boundaries is essential for nurturing your self-respect. Inconsistent communication can be one of the most damaging habits in our interpersonal relationships, yet it often goes unnoticed until the effects become glaringly apparent. Communication is the thread that weaves together our connections, and when that thread is frayed or tangled, the fabric of our relationship starts to unravel. At its core, effective communication relies on clarity and reliability. When we are inconsistent in how we express ourselves, it creates confusion and uncertainty for those around us. Imagine having a conversation with someone who sends mixed signals. One moment they're warm and inviting, and the next they're distant and unapproachable. This unpredictability can be frustrating, leading others to question where they stand with you. People need to feel secure in their interactions. They need to know that what you say today will hold true tomorrow. When there's a lack of consistency, trust erodes and respect diminishes. Moreover, inconsistency can manifest in the words we use versus our actions. When there's a gap between what we say and what we do, it sends a powerful message our words are not trustworthy. For instance, if you constantly express a desire to support your friends but frequently bail on plans or fail to follow through on promises, people will start to doubt your sincerity. They may come to see you as unreliable, which can foster resentment and lead to a cycle of disrespect. It's crucial to align your intentions with your actions, ensuring that what you communicate verbally is reflected in your behavior. Emotional inconsistency is another significant aspect of this habit. If you're frequently changing your emotional stance, sometimes being overly enthusiastic and other times withdrawing into silence, people may feel they're walking on eggshells around you. This volatility can create an environment of discomfort and anxiety, making it hard for others to engage with you openly. Healthy relationships thrive on emotional stability and predictability. When you can express your feelings in a balanced manner, you invite others to do the same, fostering an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. Additionally, cultural differences can complicate communication styles. In a diverse world, what seems like inconsistency to one person may be a reflection of a different cultural norm. For example, some cultures prioritize directness while others value indirect communication. If you find yourself in a multicultural environment, being aware of these differences is essential. Misinterpretations can lead to misunderstandings and ultimately disrespect if you're not attuned to the communication styles of those around you. Another important factor to consider is the medium through which we communicate. In our digital age, we often rely on texts, emails, and social media to convey our messages. However, these forms of communication can lack the nuance and emotional depth found in face-to-face interactions. When we switch between these mediums without consistency, we can unintentionally send mixed signals. For instance, if you're more expressive in texts but cold in person, others may struggle to understand your true intentions. Striking a balance and being mindful of how different channels affect your message is crucial for maintaining respect in communication. Lastly, it's vital to recognize that inconsistency can also stem from our own inner conflicts and uncertainties. When we're unsure of our own feelings or beliefs, it can be challenging to communicate clearly and confidently. This lack of self-awareness can lead to a cycle of hesitation and ambiguity, which can confuse those around us. Engaging in self-reflection and understanding your own motivations can empower you to communicate more consistently, fostering a sense of reliability that others will come to respect. Playing the victim is a habit that can silently erode our relationships and respectability, often without us even realizing it. It is a pattern where individuals perceive themselves as perpetual victims of circumstance, making it difficult to take responsibility for their lives and choices. While it's natural to feel victimized by challenging situations, continually adopting this mindset can lead to a detrimental cycle that not only affects our self-esteem, but also how others perceive and interact with us. When we constantly portray ourselves as victims, we relinquish our power. This mentality positions us as passive participants in our own lives, suggesting that external factors dictate our happiness and success. In doing so, we may unintentionally alienate those around us as they may become frustrated by our inability to see beyond our circumstances. It can become exhausting for friends and family to continually provide support without witnessing any effort on our part to overcome our challenges. Instead of fostering a sense of empathy and understanding, this victim mentality often leads to resentment and distance. Moreover, playing the victim can hinder personal growth. When we continuously blame others or our environment for our misfortunes, we deny ourselves the opportunity to reflect on our actions and learn from them. Growth requires accountability and a willingness to confront our shortcomings, but a victim mentality encourages avoidance. Instead of tackling challenges head-on, we might find ourselves wallowing in self-pity which stunts our development and prevents us from building the resilience necessary to navigate life's ups and downs. This habit can also create a negative feedback loop. By positioning ourselves as victims, we may attract individuals who enable this behavior, further reinforcing our narrative. We might find ourselves surrounded by those who sympathize but do not challenge us to rise above our circumstances. While sympathy can feel comforting, it is often counterproductive if it leads us to remain stagnant in our personal journeys. In essence, we surround ourselves with a narrative that keeps us trapped, preventing us from seeking solutions or alternative perspectives that could foster growth and resilience. Additionally, playing the victim can damage our credibility and reputation. Over time, people may begin to perceive us as attention-seeking or manipulative. This perception can erode trust and respect, as others may feel they cannot rely on us for honest feedback or collaborative efforts. When we consistently lean on our victimhood, we risk being seen as someone who cannot be counted on to contribute positively to relationships or shared endeavors. This perception can lead to isolation, as others may distance themselves to avoid the emotional burden of our victim mentality. It's essential to recognize that playing the victim often stems from deeper emotional issues, such as low self-esteem or unresolved trauma. These underlying feelings can manifest as a need for validation and sympathy. While it's vital to seek support for these issues, continually adopting a victim mindset can prevent us from addressing the root causes of our pain. Instead of confronting and healing from our experiences, we may find ourselves entangled in a narrative that keeps us stuck in a cycle of blame and despair. Furthermore, this mentality can undermine our relationships with others. Friends and loved ones may feel drained by our constant focus on victimhood, leading to feelings of frustration and helplessness. They may become unsure of how to support us effectively, ultimately resulting in a breakdown of communication and connection. Over time, this can lead to the disintegration of valuable relationships as others begin to prioritize their own emotional well-being over the toll of continually accommodating our victim narrative. In a broader context, playing the victim can perpetuate a culture of helplessness. When individuals in a community adopt this mindset, it can create an environment where blame is the default response to challenges. This atmosphere discourages proactive problem solving and fosters a sense of resignation. Instead of working together to find solutions and uplift one another, community members may find themselves mired in a cycle of complaining and finger pointing, leading to collective stagnation and dysfunction. Lack of boundaries is one of the most significant issues that can lead to disrespect in our personal and professional relationships. Boundaries serve as the invisible lines that define what is acceptable and what is not in our interactions with others. They protect our emotional and physical space, enabling us to maintain our well-being. When we fail to establish clear boundaries, we open the door to misunderstandings, resentment, and a culture of disrespect. When individuals do not set boundaries, they often allow others to dictate their time and energy. This can lead to chronic overcommitment, where we find ourselves saying yes to every request or invitation, often at the expense of our own needs and priorities. By failing to protect our time, we signal to others that our availability is limitless, which can result in them taking us for granted. This overextension can lead to feelings of exhaustion, frustration, and even burnout. When we become overwhelmed, we may react defensively, which can further alienate those around us. Additionally, a lack of boundaries can create confusion about roles and relationships. For instance, in a workplace setting, if personal and professional boundaries are blurred, it can lead to unclear expectations and responsibilities. Colleagues may feel free to encroach on personal time, expecting you to be available outside of work hours. This not only disrupts your work-life balance, but can also breed resentment among coworkers who may feel that their own boundaries are being violated. In personal relationships, failing to establish boundaries can lead to unhealthy dynamics. For example, in friendships or romantic partnerships, one person may consistently disregard the other's needs or feelings. This disregard can manifest as emotional manipulation, where one individual seeks to control or influence the other without considering their perspective. When boundaries are not set, it becomes all too easy for one party to dominate the relationship, leading to an imbalance of power that fosters resentment and diminishes respect. Moreover, the inability to say no can perpetuate a cycle of dependency. When we do not assert our boundaries, we may inadvertently encourage others to rely on us for their needs. This can create a dynamic where people take advantage of our kindness, often expecting us to solve their problems or fulfill their desires without considering our own limits. Over time, this can lead to feelings of being overwhelmed and unappreciated as we pour our energy into others while neglecting our own needs. Emotional boundaries are also crucial in maintaining healthy relationships. When we allow others to invade our emotional space by sharing too much personal information or demanding excessive emotional labor, we may find ourselves feeling drained and unvalued. It's important to create a safe emotional space where we can express our feelings without fear of judgment or manipulation. Without these boundaries, we risk becoming enmeshed in others' emotional turmoil, which can lead to a loss of our own identity and sense of self-worth. Furthermore, the fear of confrontation often prevents us from establishing necessary boundaries. Many individuals hesitate to speak up for themselves because they fear upsetting others or damaging relationships. This fear can lead to passive-aggressive behavior, where we express our frustrations indirectly rather than addressing them head-on. This not only creates misunderstandings, but can also damage trust and respect in relationships. Open and honest communication about our boundaries is essential to maintaining healthy interactions. It's also important to recognize that setting boundaries is not a selfish act. Rather, it is an essential component of self-care. By establishing clear limits, we not only protect our own well-being, but also promote healthier dynamics in our relationships. When we respect our own boundaries, we model that behavior for others, encouraging them to do the same. This can foster an environment where everyone feels valued and respected, creating stronger connections based on mutual understanding. In a broader societal context, a lack of boundaries can contribute to a culture of disrespect. When boundaries are not respected on a larger scale, be it in workplaces, communities, or even at the national level, individuals may feel powerless and disillusioned. This can lead to a cycle of frustration and disengagement as people become increasingly wary of expressing their needs or concerns. The absence of respect for boundaries can erode trust within communities and create an atmosphere where disrespect and conflict thrive. Ignoring feedback is a detrimental habit that can profoundly impact our personal and professional growth, as well as our relationships. Feedback, whether positive or negative, is a crucial component of our development. It provides us with valuable insights into our behaviors, performance, and interactions with others. When we dismiss or ignore this feedback, we risk stagnating in our growth and alienating those around us. One of the most immediate consequences of ignoring feedback is a lack of self-awareness. Feedback acts as a mirror, reflecting back to us how our actions and words affect others. Without this reflection, we may remain oblivious to our shortcomings and blind spots. This lack of awareness can hinder our ability to improve and adapt. For example, if a colleague points out that your communication style is often unclear or aggressive, failing to acknowledge this feedback can lead to ongoing misunderstandings and conflict. By ignoring such constructive criticism, you not only miss the opportunity for self-improvement, but also risk damaging your relationships with others who might be trying to help you. Additionally, ignoring feedback can foster a toxic work or social environment. When individuals consistently disregard the input of others, it sends a clear message your opinions don't matter. This can create a culture of silence where people feel hesitant to share their thoughts or concerns. Colleagues or friends may start to feel undervalued and demotivated, leading to disengagement and frustration. In a collaborative setting, this lack of communication can stifle innovation and problem solving as team members become less willing to contribute their ideas or perspectives. Moreover, the failure to respond to feedback can result in a breakdown of trust. Trust is built on open communication and mutual respect. When we ignore feedback, it can be perceived as a dismissal of the other person's feelings or experiences. Over time, this can erode trust and respect in relationships, leading to resentment and disconnection. People may feel that their contributions are not valued, and this can lead to a toxic cycle of disengagement and hostility. Another significant aspect of ignoring feedback is the potential for personal stagnation. Growth requires a willingness to embrace discomfort and challenge ourselves. When we disregard feedback, we may become complacent, settling into routines and habits that no longer serve us. This complacency can hinder our professional advancement as we miss opportunities to refine our skills and adapt to changing circumstances. For instance, in a fast-paced work environment, those who resist feedback may find themselves left behind as others who are open to constructive criticism evolve and thrive. Emotional resilience also plays a critical role in how we receive feedback. Ignoring feedback often stems from a fear of judgment or criticism. When we view feedback as a personal attack rather than an opportunity for growth, we create a defensive mindset that prevents us from learning. This fear can be paralyzing, making it difficult to accept even well-intentioned advice. Cultivating emotional resilience allows us to approach feedback with curiosity rather than defensiveness, opening the door to growth and development. Furthermore, the ability to solicit and welcome feedback is a hallmark of effective leadership. Leaders who ignore feedback risk alienating their teams and undermining their authority. When team members feel that their input is disregarded, it can lead to decreased morale and productivity. Effective leaders actively seek feedback and demonstrate a willingness to listen and adapt. By modeling this behavior, they create an environment where team members feel empowered to share their thoughts and ideas, fostering collaboration and respect. Ignoring feedback can also lead to a narrow perspective. When we isolate ourselves from the insights of others, we limit our understanding of different viewpoints and experiences. This can perpetuate biases and reinforce unhealthy habits as we become trapped in our own echo chambers. Engaging with diverse perspectives and being receptive to feedback allows us to broaden our horizons, challenge our assumptions, and develop a more well-rounded understanding of the world around us. Finally, failing to address feedback can result in missed opportunities for connection and collaboration. Constructive feedback often leads to deeper discussions and exchanges of ideas. When we ignore this feedback, we close the door to valuable conversations that could enhance our relationships and foster a sense of community. By being open to feedback, we create space for dialogue and engagement, strengthening our connections with others and promoting mutual respect. In conclusion, the habits that foster disrespect, neglecting self-respect, inconsistent communication, playing the victim, and lack of boundaries are detrimental not only to our relationships but also to our personal growth. By recognizing and addressing these behaviors, we empower ourselves to cultivate healthier interactions and foster mutual respect. Establishing self-respect lays a foundation for how others perceive us, while consistent and open communication nurtures trust. Additionally, taking responsibility for our choices instead of playing the victim enables us to reclaim our power, and setting boundaries is essential for maintaining our emotional well-being. Ultimately, embracing feedback and adapting our behaviors leads to personal development and stronger connections with those around us. By committing to self-awareness and respectful interactions, we can create a more fulfilling and respectful environment for ourselves and others. Let us choose to break these negative patterns and embark on a journey toward more respectful and empowering relationships.